Absolutely.
Hey everyone, happy Thursday. I hope you have had an awesome week. I know it's been really full here around the boot camp after having an amazing lyceum. If you haven't been to a lyceum, I encourage you to put that on your calendar for next year. I didn't go to Sherman College, I didn't graduate from there, but they certainly have adopted me into their Sherman family. I'm proud to be a Shermie by adoption. So put that on your marker. It also was so much fun. Our Divas and Goddesses of Chiropractic mingle and mastermind on Thursday night. So a shout out to LCW. Thank you for partnering with us on that. It was wonderful. Hey, Jen. So Jen is a boot camper in Arizona and just popped in to say hello. If you'd like us to acknowledge you, the only way that we can do that is if you in some way show us that you're in the audience, and please do so. Dr. Matthew and I would love to say hello to you and do a shout out. So here's my good friend, Dr. Matthew Loop. I'm so excited to do this together. You know, this is really a rare opportunity for all of us. Dr. Matthew just got to spend some time with Richard Branson on Necker Island, so we're going to jump into that. The other thing I want to make sure that you do, if you have a specific question, the only way that we can answer them is if you put them in the comment section. So put them in the comment section. We'll get through as many as we possibly can. Obviously, the sooner you put yours in, the sooner it's going to be answered. So Matthew, thank you so much for joining me today and welcome.
Barb, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me. Let me just share this real quick with my page, if you will, so I'm not distracted.
Sure. So that would be a tip for all of you. When you're getting interviewed, then you want to share it to your page. And we'll encourage all of you right now to hit that share button. If you care to help a fellow chiropractic brother or sister, you can share this with them and they can join us, or at least wise have access to it. Hey, Michelle, good to see you, girl, out in California, another boot camper. So great to have you. And Stephanie Hamby, welcome, welcome. And Stacy Lowe up here in Alaska. Good to see you, ladies. Thanks for popping in and saying hello. All right. So, hey, Joanne, great to see you too, lady. So, Matthew, let's jump in. Let's talk about Necker Island. Like, how does that happen? And what is it?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, you know, and I was trying to reverse engineer that whole process in my mind, because as you're at a high level place like Necker Island, I don't know if it's normal, but I definitely had a little bit of that imposter syndrome, just a tad, like, how did I get here? But as I reflect back through the past many years of trying to be an asset to a large number of people, you know, I literally sat across the table from Richard Branson at dinner. He gave a wonderful talk to our group for Virgin Unite's 10th anniversary. And as I was sitting across from dinner, I got to ask him a lot of questions and whatnot. And he talked about how he was able to leverage from the early days of the Virgin Group, long before it, you know, just exploded to over 300 companies with the Virgin brand on it. But the early days when he was disrupting an industry, leading with value, and really creating this reputation that far surpassed anyone else. And consistently, he was always leveraging that up. And of course, he did that so much where obviously he connected with the right people, and Virgin is where it's at today. He's a billionaire. So I was very fascinated by that process. In many regards, that's how I've built my brand since way back in 2005, helping doctors and professionals using MySpace of all things, and YouTube dropping in 2006. And I was always just trying to committed to doctors achieving excellence and helping more people. That built a great reputation, and I was able to leverage that as I went up. So how did I get on Necker Island? It was through the use of being an asset, delivering a lot of value, and then, you know, taking advantage of opportunities when they present themselves in terms of investing in relationships. This is something that I wish I would have done long ago. And a lot of chiropractors still don't understand the value of truly investing in relationships. What I mean, you can approach this from many different angles, but one thing could be taking care of the people that have already done business with you. Barb, you and I have talked about this, you know, delivering more and spending more back on your current clients. Just like what we do at the Social Media Revenue Summit, we charge a premium for that event. But when you get there, you know, a lot of money was spent back on, you know, on me as an attendee. So that's part of it. You know, we want you to feel valued. But two, also understanding where these mentorship opportunities come into play. whether you or I like it or not, business is a pay to play game. And at the highest levels, there is a great way to curate who's for real and who's not. There's so many times we will spend money on stupid, idiot things that don't bring us value or create wealth in our lives, as opposed to relationships. You know, some guy doesn't have any problem going out and buying a $8,000 jet ski, but to invest $8,000 in coaching with a high level person that's in certain circles, well, they're like, oh my God, that's too expensive. You know what I mean? So it's about reprioritizing. And I did that many years ago. And I found that naturally, as you ascend, you develop more relationships. And even with these new relationships, I try to always be an asset first. You know, I would never be a taker. I like what Joe Polish always says. He says that life gives to the givers and it takes from the takers. If you're really committed on giving and connecting different people and being in these certain groups, that's going to lead you higher and higher until one day you're on Necker Island hanging out with billionaires and just really getting the wheels turning and exploring amazing possibilities. So that's kind of a short version of how I got on Necker Island.
That is so awesome. It was fun to kind of live vicariously through you. I remember one of my most favorite books is called Entrepreneur Genius by Gene Landrum. And he kind of just like does a quick biography on some of the best entrepreneurs of our time and before us. And that's really the first time I studied Richard Branson, and what an incredible human being. And I don't know if you ever read his story about being a kid and his mom, maybe he shared that story. His parents took him on his bike and like put him outside of town and said, figure out how to get home. Here's a sandwich. Right. and I think, you know, like the kind of confidence that develops in a young boy, and, you know, like something I'm very passionate about is helping female entrepreneurs and male entrepreneurs like raise entrepreneurial kids who are confident, kids who can make decisions on their own, who are decisive, who are not looking for a handout, but even as young people looking for opportunities instead of handouts, right? Opportunities to level up and level up and level up. And obviously you guys have done, you and your beautiful bride have done a great job exposing your children to opportunities so that they're seeing that in action. And so for all of you watching, that's a really great motivator to level up in your own life, to instead of choose the jet ski, choose to level up in the circles that you run in. Like if you're running in circles and you're the wealthiest or you're the smartest, you're in the wrong circle. Yeah, it makes you feel good, but you certainly aren't going to be finding new opportunities to take your business and your mindset and everything else to the next level. So I really appreciate that. So look for opportunities. And I think too, and you can speak more to this after being on Necker Island, like, did you find that those individuals were just like you and I, just like everyone watching? Like they're just human beings too, wanting to improve themselves and make a difference.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing is sometimes it's very easy to be intimidated by another individual's success because you feel, and I've been this way. I met a gentleman 2 weeks ago in Cancun who I've looked up to while by chance accident ran into him at Secrets Divine Resort. And I could tell, like I introduced myself, but I was shaking in the voice a little bit just because, you know, it's just one of those things. It's crazy. It's ridiculous, but you still have to go and have the courage and, you know, say thank you and, you know, whatever you need to. But it's a really important lesson that, that I've learned a long time ago. And yes, they're human. When we were on the island, as an example, there was some activities planned, but I wouldn't say a formal agenda, like we're going to meet X time to do this type of whatever it was. It's like really cool people in a really amazing place, shooting the shit, talking about a lot of stuff. And eventually, I mean, you have a lot of things in common, certainly. And yeah, the business usually comes up later on down the road, but it's just such an easy, relaxed environment. Something that I've tried to put, you know, when I host different seminars or whatever, I want it to be more relaxed. I want people just to feel like they're able to connect on a very deep level, maybe with their everyone else in the room and or the content that I'm sharing. No pressure, anything like that. And that's when the big things start to happen. So it's, but it is amazing how down to earth everyone seems, even at that level.
And with that, I think it's really important. Like part of the confidence that we as individuals have in those circles, right? So that when there's an opportunity to go to a mastermind, or, in your town right now, there's some kind of social thing, it can be intimidating, but listen, we can all change that quotient for ourselves, right? You can train yourself, you can train your communication, read books. People who play at the highest levels are definitely students, right? Like, they're not up there thinking, okay, I've arrived, I don't need to learn anything. No, they're very, very well read. So one of the things I would encourage all of you to do, and I know Matthew supports me in this as well, is study up. Like, what are the best books, and who are the movers and shakers right now that have books out there? So when you're in these communities, you can kind of talk the lingo, and you have an understanding of the mindset at which they're putting into their business. So Matthew, let's talk about, like, so we're not on Necker Island, but everybody has some kind of an island in their community. How do we use social media in order to open those doors of opportunity that maybe eventually will lead to Necker Island? But for right now, how does someone do that in their own community, in their own practice?
Yeah, so the first thing is to get focused and centered on one particular medium. With social media, there's so much going on at all these different times, and it's very easy to get preoccupied with the latest and greatest. Shiny object syndrome happens so many times. And, right now, I would say for most doctors that are listening right now, or even small business owners in general, Facebook is going to be your most lucrative avenue for most of you. There are exceptions, but let's just start there. For example, understanding how to use Facebook, their advertising platform, in such a way that you are able to consistently deliver value to your audience. I would say set at least $500 per month, or whatever you can do, but at least $500 a month ideally, to creating great content and distributing that content locally to your community. And you want to have ideally your I would say your online marketing, your online outreach set up like the Parthenon. So if one pillar goes down, if Facebook changes tomorrow, or their terms of service and they wipe one of your accounts out, you've still got all these other pillars that support the structure. On Facebook alone, though, you've got a dozen different pillars that could be implemented for the outreach. So the easiest thing to do, even for introverts, right? You can easily create a piece of helpful content, whether that's you showing how to get up out of bed in the morning without hurting your spine, or if you're in a white collar area where there are many office workers, talking about text or tech neck and ways to straighten up, exercises that you can do, how to decrease the stress on your spine. You can take that piece of content and circulate it on Facebook using their ads manager, which you can use their video view campaign and push it out to your ideal audience. So let's say your practice is between the ages of 30 and 50 on average. You could circulate this piece of content to them, whether it's 100,000 people, 200,000, whatever. And over time, the majority of this market will see that piece of content. And then there will be others that watch your content for more time, like 50% of the time. Facebook allows us to go back then and retarget those people with different pieces of promotional content, offers, workshops, stories, testimonials. I mean, there are a lot of things that we can do. So and this is a system, mind you, that works 24/7 for you. It's just about committing to getting this one in place. So you've got one video that's going for you, and ideally you should be creating videos every single week and testing them to see which ones are performing better in terms of likes, shares, comments, video view time, all these things together. And then you can circulate personal stories or testimonials, see how those perform in the local market. You can, if you wanted to create something more immediate, you could have a direct response offer where you do have a specific bundle if it's a consultation, exam, and an x-ray for a specific price. You could do workshops. You can mix it up. You can do all these different things. And we have all these things going. Eventually, that snowball turns into an avalanche. And over a period of months to even years, it's going to be different based on every market, based on the amount you're committed to investing every single month. If you're in a town of, let's say, 60,000 people and you're consistently flooding the market, even at a low $500 Facebook ad spend per month, within a few months, people are going to start to recognize you if you do it right. They're going to recognize you at the grocery store, the bank teller, and they're going to know you for a specific thing. And this is even if you just suck at direct response marketing and you don't get anything on the front end, but people are going to know you. And what would normally cost a company millions upon millions of dollars to do to hit that critical mass, that tipping point in the marketplace, you're going to do for thousands, potentially less, more. Every market's slightly different, but you have a massive opportunity. And I will say, and I've spoken about this for many years, but more in particularly in this next year and a half, we're already starting to see more Fortune 500 money dump in to Facebook. What that means for you as a doctor or professional watching this is that you've got a limited opportunity in a window that you're still able to get costs for very, very low. I was using Facebook ads way back in 2008 in its inception, and you can imagine how low the cost per click, cost per view, all that stuff was back then. It's like 10 times less than what it is now. My estimation, in the next year and a half, costs can easily rise by 5 times. Take it for what it's worth. But the longer you delay, like any additional budget you have to invest in your reputation, in creating goodwill in the community, in your marketing, your advertising, it would be very wise to do that.
So let's go back, and I want to pick up on several things that you said. And something I want each of you to do who are watching right now, pop in the comment section, what value will you add to the marketplace? Like Matthew was talking about, can you do an exercise for people who are sitting at their desk? Can you show like what's a trick to get out of bed if you have a stiff back? Like what is something that you will add value? And please recognize it doesn't have to be like, all right, how can I make this tricky? No, like that's not where people start a relationship with you. Like solve small challenges for them, and then you build trust, and then you solve bigger challenges and bigger challenges and bigger challenges. So what's the first kind of value that you could provide to the marketplace? And just quite simply, like Matthew was saying, like do a video about it. Like you don't have to have a fancy studio. You don't have to, Matthew, when you go to the Social Media Revenue Summit, last year, everyone had a Smove, SMOVE, and it's like a super nice selfie stick, and it's super cool. You can get it for about $150. Start there. You can make a tripod of it. I think, and Matthew, you could speak to this more than I can. That many times, it's these little things that become obstacles. Like, what kind of video? Do one. Right? Like done is better than perfect. And if you saw Matthew put on his Facebook page today about completion. So our goal for you is that you watch this Facebook Live and take action all the way to completion on at least one of the topics that we're talking about. So right now, Nathan said, I can show video testimonials about the value of kids getting chiropractic care. Perfect. So choose one, right? And then like Matthew said, like who is your target audience? Go and start there. So let's go back to value, Matthew, because I think that you do the best job of pretty much anyone I've ever seen of just consistently pouring in value. And one of the things that I love and how Matthew operates his business is true to form in abundance. The idea of giving stuff away, giving tips away, and helping people. And there's kind of I think it's easy to think, oh, I don't want to share too much because then they won't pay me. So can we speak to that, like specifically to our chiropractic brothers and sisters who don't want to maybe give tips about being healthy outside of the practice for fear that people won't come in then? Can you help us overcome that mindset?
Okay, a couple things there. One, people have to look at you as an authority in the marketplace. So by you speaking about your expertise, topics that you know, whether it's chiropractic, whether it is nutrition or whatever it is, and citing appropriate journal articles, you're automatically positioning yourself and your brand as an expert in the marketplace. So of course, there are many other factors that position you at the highest level, but it starts with at least getting out there and almost being a consumer advocate to people, talking about something that's on the local news, maybe trending, and or giving them a tip and a strategy that helps better their quality of life, getting them closer to the result they want to generate. And two, I found that giving away some of my best stuff for free, it almost like people kind of wonder like, wow, if this doctor is giving that much away, I wonder what his experience is when I would actually do business with him or come into his office and or buy his product or service. because you're already helping them and they look at you as a resource and a wealth of information. So it actually gets that person, makes them inch closer and closer toward you and their goal. So, I think it does the opposite of what many may think. And I've even had, my goodness, so many over the years say, I felt like I had to do business with you. But I felt like I had to buy your stuff because you've made me so much money. You've given me so much value over the years. I've almost guilted them into, doing business with me. So it's a combination of all those factors: expert positioning, status, and really being an asset to people in the community. And then some people might take advantage now, others might take advantage later. But if you want to help as many people as possible, and I would think the overwhelming majority of doctors watching this would be in that boat, you have to understand how to use social media the right way, how to distribute your content, and then how to get people to take action. But it all starts with you positioning yourself as an authority. And one of the ways to do that is just to get out there and start speaking about something that it's really simple.
I love this. Andrea, who's in the boot camp, said, I do awareness with Andrea every week and discuss trending health topics.
That's great.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Right? Now somebody people in Andrea's community go, oh, I read about that. And now I can have a relationship with somebody in my community to learn more about what is this turmeric thing? And I don't even know about oils, and what about this and what about that? It doesn't mean Andrea has to do all of those things in her practice, but like Matthew is saying, she's positioning herself as a consumer advocate of, I know all this stuff that's going on, and here, let me break it down for you. How I can help you make sense of things. I remember I learned early on in practice when somebody would come to you and be like, well, this doctor said this and this doctor said this and to simply come back and say, it sounds like you need somebody to make sense of all of this information that you're getting. Is that true? Oh yeah, I'd really love that. Come on into my office Monday morning, 9:00, and let's chat it out. All right. So here's something that's kind of near and dear to my heart, because I think it's easy to fall into the Facebook scrolling or social media scrolling, right? And you don't even realize it, but you do it 4 or 5 times a day at 20 minutes a day, at 20 minutes a time, and you've just jacked up a bunch of time. And if you don't know, you can actually check your social media activity on your phone. So on average, I recently read that the average American mom is on social media about 6.5 hours a day. So I'd love each one of you to do some inventory yourself, and then to think, okay, 6.5 hours a day, if instead I followed these strategies that Matthew and Barbara are giving me, I clearly have the time, right? Because 6.5 hours a day, your phone doesn't lie how often you're on and just scrolling. What if you did that instead? So can we go from the scroller? What's the first step? And can we dispel some of the myths that it's not about posting? It's not about just putting up a billboard that gives you the traction. Is that true? What gives the most traction when it comes to, let's talk Facebook?
Yeah. So understanding that people want you to be relatable. One of the most effective posts and or promotions that I've taught for a long time is to craft not either your story and or other patient stories in your office to humanize you as the doctor, because everyone needs to know that you are a real person. You're not untouchable. You're not this plastic mannequin speaking on a platform. You're approachable, and you are like them. You went through trials, tribulations, challenges in your life, and you're better now as a result of the knowledge that you've learned and the tools and strategies or resources that you've been able to implement. So that's usually my first step, and it's about crafting your story. And then I always like to think about it this way. If somebody doesn't know you from the man on the moon and they see a post in the newsfeed, if it's done right without any call to action buttons, if it's just a nice photo, maybe a family photo, something that looks like it's a photo from a friend in the newsfeed, and then if you actually have a little bit of a teaser in the first sentence or two, something that makes them curious. And I'll give you an example. You might say, here's something many Atlanta residents might not know about me. It altered the course of my life, and it's a big reason why I'm committed to paying it forward. That first sentence draws curiosity because people kind of like the gossip. It's not too hypey. It's not too sensationalized. but then that's getting me curious. And then in that third sentence, we want to interrupt their pattern and hit them with some type of trauma or something that they weren't expecting. One of my clients, I just remember off the top of my head, he said something like, when my daughter was 3 months old, she almost died, blah, 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 blah. So it was something that you weren't even expecting, but you had to finish the story to close the loop in your mind. And your personal story, either this story from a patient or client customer, there's no right or wrong in terms of how long it has to be to finish that. And then you can always wrap up that story with a special invitation to health, your offer, whatever that is. And the people that read that story, they're going to really understand you at a deeper level, and that's going to help you connect. And one, it's going to separate you from every other person out there doing cheesy direct response ads with no value ever given, or no context or no backstory or whatever. It's an easy way to stand out in the marketplace. At the Social Media Summit this year, I'm going to teach you the exact framework on how to set that up, and I'll show you which specific options to use to make it more effective. I will tell you this: if you do it right, it will be one of the most shared posts you'll ever have, and the most liked and commented and all the other stuff. It's just by sharing your personal journey in the right way. So that's where I would definitely start, even if you don't have any clue. And here's another tidbit and a tip. I found that the written stories actually work better than the video stories. You can still record a video about your personal story. Make sure you obviously have the captions with that if you promote it. But personal stories allow people to skim a little bit, and they'll probably skim and then they'll be like, oh, this is really intriguing. And then they'll want to go back and read it. They see the pictures. So it's very easy on the eyes. I would start with the written story though.
So let's go right to that. And I'm just going to share with all of you. So I hired Matthew as my personal coach last year, the beginning of last year, I think February-ish. And we created a strategy. So that's one of the things that I love about having Matthew as a week 9 boot camp coach, as well as it's not just ideas, right? Because ideas are just random, and it's easy to start and stop when you have an idea versus when you have a strategy, right? Because the strategy is going to take you all the way to the finish. So I have implemented about this much of what Matthew has taught me, and yet I'm very thankful for the results that we've gotten. I did over $552,000 more in 1 year working with Matthew. So I would say that that's great proof that what he teaches works. And one of the things that I did is I attended the Social Media Revenue Summit. Listen, even if you only attend this in order to meet people. So at that, I met Garrett Gunderson, which has led to an amazing friendship and has opened other doors and da, 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 da. So the relationship capital that Matthew and I were speaking of a few minutes ago. But also, if you look at your case average, so I think the case average that I have seen in America is about $2,000. So Matthew, like, what's a ticket to the Social Media Revenue Summit, and can individuals still join us in Atlanta in August?
Yes, currently, well, we made 100 spots available this year. Last year we sold out at 75, but we're like, well, we could probably do it at 100 this year and still have a very close-knit, intimate group. I don't see getting like 500 or whatever. That just would defeat the purpose of this event type of deal. The investment for the Saturday session is $13.97. We do have an investment for the Saturday and Sunday session. Saturday is really the main event type of deal. Sunday's more of a 4-hour workshop on top of that. For those that want additional help crafting and creating their campaigns, the Saturday and Sunday session is a one-time investment of $19.97. And I can assure you, if you implement what you learn in the first couple weeks, you're going to make your investment back. This is an application-based program too, though, and this is another thing where it's not just that we charge a premium for the event. And I would love to have you watching this there right now if it's a good fit. There is an application, because when you're in that room, like Barbara was saying, the quality of people there is different than other events, because they're vetted, first of all. Lots of $1 million practice earners in there, people that are committed to, I would call that, like one of my mentors, Yannick Silver, says, an evolved enterprise. They're not just doing well in practice or business, but they're actually moving the needle in other areas, helping to support causes and charities that are soul fulfilling. So you're in the room with really great people that are just doing big things in practice and in life. And if you like to surround yourself with those types of people, aside from the great content and the money making strategies and the stuff that how social media has changed or whatever that I'm going to share with you, aside from the campaigns I'm going to let you swipe and plug and play, the people there are really good. And honestly, I end up becoming friends with all of the attendees because they're like me. When I crafted the application and I said, okay, well, this is the price point, this is the application, and how can somebody that we accept not be really cool? Well, so you're going to be in a great group of people that are committed to helping each other succeed. This year so far, we have I want to say 20 returning members from years past.
Wow, congratulations.
Which is pretty cool. It means a lot to me and my wife that they enjoy it enough to want to come back. So, that's awesome. But right now, as of today, we have 26 spots available. So if you, I'm telling you, this is going to be a great event on August 17th. Socialmediarevenuesummit.com is where you can find the details, take care of the investment, and then, get the application in. It's going to be a great event. Would love to have you there. It's at the Four Seasons in Atlanta. We're still deciding the after party and the restaurant. Years past, I've taken people to Chops, which is one of the best steakhouses in Atlanta, Fogo de Chao, great Brazilian steakhouse. We've taken people to last year was Del Frisco's. We've done it at the St. Regis, the Ritz. We do it at very high level places because we want you to think bigger. First of all, it doesn't matter your personal taste. You might not like those places, but if the goal is to get you in a mindset that allows you to think bigger and, with other people, you have no choice but to think wow, somebody created this. I can create whatever I want in my practice, in my business, in my life, if I have the right knowledge base. That's what the seminar is geared for you. Whether if you just want to build your practice to the 7-figure mark, if you want to create additional streams of income online, like what Barb and I have done with different, whether it's coaching, whether it's Amazon, whether it's affiliate marketing, all this stuff I'm going to be sharing with you. But it's going to be a wonderful event. Would love to have you there.
And huge shout out to your sister and your cousins for killing it. Are they coming? Is she coming back this year?
Yeah, I believe both Kelly and Kayla are coming. So she's referring to Kayla. Kayla and my cousin Bill and my cousin Summer, they were featured on Shark Tank. They got a deal from Mr. Wonderful. They had the Pop It Pal. So I'm going to see if I can twist my sister Kayla's arm to give some nuggets and gems. I know we're going to have people there that are interested in developing their own products, like physical products, and getting those to market, getting investments. I can't think of anyone better to do it than her. So I'm going to see if I can twist her arm and maybe she'll give some insight.
Yeah, it was fun to, and I love the format because it's not so intense that you don't have a chance to sit and talk with the other participants. So I got to sit and talk to Kayla for a while about, and it was, she was just really honest, it took way more work than I really thought. And so many different avenues of cash flow that I wasn't really quite expecting. So it's great to talk to somebody who's done it. Matthew's done and helped lots of people get on Amazon and sell as well. So, if you're wanting to grow your business and something else, it's just a really great place of roll up your sleeves and learn and really and truly be able to take those concepts and apply them on Monday morning. So socialmediarevenuesummit.com. If you do come, we're doing Divas and Goddesses Mingle and Mastermind on Friday night before. So make sure that that you watch that. We'll be sending out.
Yeah, I think you have at least, I want to say there's at least 4 boot campers, I think, right now.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
But that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then the Mingle and Mastermind is just, we get together as women and help each other solve challenges. So if you want to see how to do that in your practice, I would encourage you to come not only to the Social Media Revenue Summit, but join us for the meetup. So go to socialmediarevenuesummit.com and we'll see you in August. So a question popped in from Dr. Sasha, who says, how to continue being present online and not losing yourself, keeping presence and stamina. So I think that we kind of touched on that of how do you transform your scrolling to actually making money, and how do you still make people feel like you are connected without it stealing all of your time?
It's something to realize too, that, and this is where there's been a myth out there for a long time. Some people think that well, I'll say this. There is value in the volume of content that you produce, certainly. Being regular every week, a couple times, whatever that is. But some of the most successful people I know, they will create one core flagship piece of content, one core thing, and they'll understand how to run advertising to that piece of content. And this is now this is a 24/7 thing that works for you all the time. So even if you just created one piece of content and it pulls new patients or new customers on the front end and it gives you that brand awareness, that is an automated system that it will stay running until you stop the ad, essentially. So it's about working smarter, not harder. And I do believe in creating regular new content, but some of these guys, you got to wash your brain because they're teaching the wrong things. And it's not like, you don't, like the most successful entrepreneurs that I know, they're prolific with their content, but they know how to distribute and circulate it more so and test and see if the market is going to respond to that in a favorable way. I could tell you clients that have dozens of different ads and promotions running online, content pieces, goodwill pieces, videos, direct response, all at the same time. Those are systems. They don't do anything else. Yeah. Periodically, you'll have to refresh it. But if you start generating new fans on your Facebook fan page, it's a good idea to post a couple times per day. Those don't all have to be live videos, though. You can post research on your fan page. You can just post a quote graphic. You can do a live video. You can do a pre-recorded video. There are many things that you can share with your audience. You can ask an open-ended question. Let one of your assistants hijack your Facebook for a day and then just post stuff on there as well. So there are a lot of ways that you can systematize the process. It just sounds like she's maybe not as she's not as systematic as she could be. But don't think you have to create content every waking hour of the day. That's not my philosophy. I know there are people like that, but you got to realize for me, I've tried to build my business around my ideal lifestyle. And I think you should do the same thing for your practice. If you want to practice 3 days a week, by all means do that. If you like practicing 5 days a week, go ahead, absolutely. But put systems in place. So if you want to, let's say if you like spending time with your family more, you like traveling more, well, you need to prioritize those things as well. When I'm on vacation, I'm just so used to creating content that it'll take me 5 minutes to literally think about something, push the record button, and boom, now I have a video that is done in a nice place, which allows people to follow me on the journey, essentially. And of course, it's proof that this is a tax-deductible trip, and what have you. So there's a lot of ways and things that I would say hacks that you can use in your own practice and business to automate certain processes and not really overload yourself and with the fatigue, the burnout, and additional work.
And I love that, it's fluid, right? Just like money is energy and it's got to be in motion. Same with our life. So let's say that, I don't know, as a chiropractor, let's say you're running into the gym and you get an idea of, hey, you know what? I was thinking about this. Like, bam, go to Facebook Live. I came out of the dentist the other day and, it was really interesting. It's clear that somebody told them, like, these are some things that you need to do in your practice, right? But they were really stagnant. Like there was hey, do a Facebook Live here. And they had the whole thing set up. So they bought that whole thing, right? And then over here, it was like, leave us a review, but no one ever talked to me about it. They were just billboards. And so I just quickly jumped in my car and did a Facebook Live about, hey guys, let's not do this. If we're going to have something in our office and direct people's attention to it, let's help them understand the value of it and how they can participate and what their feedback really means to others, right? So how do you put individuals in that position of leadership? And so the same thing like Matthew was talking about, when you go and live your life, it doesn't have to be something planned out. I'm going to do content. I'm going to only talk about this. Like, as you get those ideas in your mind, just go live or just type a quick comment and make it just be a part of your life. Make it be that individuals feel like, oh, wow, I know that person. I know Barbara. I know Matthew. I know Dina. I know Robin, because I watch that person on a regular basis. So I love that. And thank you for sharing. And it's fun too, because then like you get to see how your mentor lives their life, right? So maybe you just pull one thing that they're doing into your life. It exposes you to the next level before you get there, which I think is super powerful as well. So as we kind of wrap this up, Matthew, what what are some changes, and we've kind of talked about this in the boot camp, that are coming? Like, one of the things is that the Fortune 500 companies are pouring huge dollars into social media now, which means those of us who aren't doing Fortune 500 levels of income, it's going to be harder for us to play. One of the other things that we've commented on is like reach with Facebook Lives has definitely changed. What are some of the other things that individuals need to be aware of and have a strategy to circumvent?
Yes. So social media is very noisy these days. And most of your content, and this is where you're going to have your flagship pieces of content, they need to cut through the noise. So it's about being very clear and intentional about at least a few pieces. Again, sometimes I'll do things off the cuff because I want to deliver value. Other times I will stop and think, and take some time to really figure out, okay, well, my market is shifting this way. This is what everyone else is doing. How can I make it different and valuable? The stuff that I put out there, and I referenced earlier about stories, cutting through the noise, making your post look like they're from a friend, even though it's a sponsored post. Whenever somebody sees that call to action button, they know it's an ad. So we're developing that banner blindness. So it's about getting your content to blend in better with the newsfeed, but also stick out so you catch them. Another great example of this year, there's blogging, and I'll reference blogging because it kind of ties into Facebook. Blogging is not working so well because there's over 1 billion blogs online. If you think about that, it's just a lot of content out there. So unless you understand the distribution protocol, unless you take content and regularly push it out, you're not going to get any traffic to it. Now, in terms of SEO value, boosting your website ranking, there is SEO value there. However, there's not a proportion in terms of if you just pump out regular content that your webmaster gives you. Most of it's probably canned anyway. It's not original. Like, you need to create something that's very unique in the marketplace and then use Facebook advertising, specifically, let's say their traffic objective in the ads manager, if you're going to draw people locally to that particular blog post. It's almost like giving people a big hug. Another thing that to be really conscious of this year and how social media and websites have changed. There's all this traffic online, but it seems like very few doctors seem to focus on their conversion and how they guide that person to take the next step. So most websites or content may convert at a 1% to 3% on average. So if you can boost that up by a couple percentage points, and this is where you have to know your metrics. You have to know who's visiting your site, how many people are going there, or how many people are seeing a Facebook post, what actions they're taking, how many clicks. You have to measure, because what you measure, you will improve. And that's how you know. You can use your Facebook Insights tab along with the metrics that you find in your ads manager. We'll be covering a lot of this at the Social Media Summit because it's so important. You don't need to get super techie geeky, but you have to know, how to measure it so you can improve it. And I would say another way that the market has changed a lot is, and I'll say it in chiropractic in particular, there's some need, or there's some I would call it it appeals to my laziness that I don't want to do anything, or that I want to do as minimal as possible and have all these systems running for me. And you can outsource, you can delegate a lot of your content and marketing or whatever. But what I found consistently over the years, and mind you, this is coming from someone that owns a Facebook advertising agency, is that if you put the time in to understand a little bit about the advertising platform yourself, how to craft your ads, the copy, and how to measure certain things, when you eventually delegate, you're going to measure it and track it much better. Your ROI is going to go through the roof, and you're never going to get taken. You're never going to get scammed or whatever, because you know already what to look for based on understanding. Myself, look at any major player that's done a big thing for their brand, their personal brand, entrepreneur-wise, chiropractically or whatever. They've all put the time in, little by little, to utilize different aspects of social media, to put their own voice in, to understand how to distribute certain things before they delegate. And I can guarantee you, the guru that you follow, I don't care what space they're in, what industry they're service, they know a good deal about social media. And whoever their point person is implementing those same things in a certain way. It all, success leaves clues, and that's one of the biggest clues. You have to get your hands dirty. There's just no other way around it. If you want to scale big, this is just, coming from somebody that's walked down that road and coached a lot of people in regards. You can never outsource and delegate 100%, and ignorance will cost you a lot of money.
He is speaking to the choir, my friends. He is speaking to the choir, because I hate the technology aspect, and that's something I'm so appreciative that Matthew just like breaks everything down so easily. For those of you who are watching, who are in the boot camp, if you haven't visited week 9 recently, I encourage you to go back and find one thing that you can tweak from the week 9, which is the week that Matthew created for all of you, in order to understand Facebook, to understand what is Facebook advertising. So Matthew's talked a couple times about flagship content, and that's why this is scrolling across the 56daychirobootcamp.com /referrals is what Matthew and I created a year ago, and it has so my database went from about 1,100 to 6,700 very, very quickly. And one thing that I will say, like, this flagship content does is it makes it really easy to take a stranger into a friend, right? Like, here, let me provide content for you. Now, for all of you to know, yeah, there was a lot of work on the front end, but now it's easy for my team and I to say, hey, we want to give you value. Like, literally, you can follow the steps of this endless referrals cheat sheet and radically change the number of referrals that you're serving in your office. You and your team will feel confident. I hate to use the word comfortable because that's never the goal, but you'll feel confident in asking for referrals. And then Matthew helped me create a video to teach you, not only to give you the content in writing, but also to teach you how to do that and how to have 10 other referral sources. So if you haven't seen it lately, even just like go through and model a piece of your content that way. Like, don't copy, right? Because we never want to be copycats, but certainly modeling what it looks like, because I'm telling you, it works. It not only works for chiropractors, but it works to grab attention. And so that's what Matthew is talking about when you have a flagship piece of content. Instead of having lots of different things, really think about, and this is a question that Matthew asked me, like, what are you really good at in serving chiropractors? I'm like, referrals. Like, that's something that I've always been really, really good at. He's like, all right, well, let's take that and let's make that then your flagship. And then we went through the steps of it. So I can't say enough thank you and gratitude to all that you've helped me do to just like systematize and just make it really easy to help individuals along and building that relationship. And at the Social Media Revenue Summit, again, let me just pop that up for all of you. Please go and apply. And here's what I would encourage you to. If you apply and you don't get a spot, I would ask, this is how I would do it. Instead of like putting your tail between your legs and running off, ask Matthew, like, what would I have to do? Like, what do I have to do between now and next year in order to get a spot? Right? Don't use as a no as a means to step back. Just like, how can I learn from this? How can I grow? Yesterday I got an email, or maybe it was 2 days, I got an email from somebody who had critiqued all of my stuff and found like spelling errors and whatever. And instead of being offended, I was like, hey, thank you. Like, thank you so much for caring enough that you read it. Now my team and I can improve it. So look at those opportunities in your life to grow. Like, no one's trying to beat you up, just opportunities to grow. So Matthew, as we shut this down, what last minute comments do you have for individuals who are still with us? And thanks to all of you who are still with us. And again, we would greatly appreciate you joining us on the mission to improve our planet, to improve the experience that individuals have in their life, by sharing this. If you would, please just hit share right now so others can benefit from your page. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity right now. Doesn't matter where you are, if you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced marketer, I mean, if you've dabbled in this for a while and you know that maybe you're getting a couple results here and there, a couple patients here and there. I mean, you could be experienced in having over 20, 30 new patients per month just from social media and the internet. Regardless of where you're at, we can definitely help you grow and achieve what you want, what you're capable of. I mean, I have clients that are doing over 100 new patients per month just from the internet and social media, which is insane. Now, I won't say those results are typical, but I will say that sometimes there's just minor adjustments that you can tweak, and massive results can happen from there. I've seen it so many times. So even if you are and you feel like you have a firm handle on social media, if you want to scale and you want to figure out what the world's busiest practices are using, I would strongly recommend you come to the Social Media Summit. I'm always here for you. I'm going to provide value. You can always ask me any questions online. Social media, it's pretty easy to find me. But even though I'm a huge social media guy, one of the reasons why I started this experience is because I know the value of connecting in person and learning in person, building other relationships. That's how I've been able to, again, scale my brand in a sense. So I try to practice what I preach. Yep. And there is a method to the madness, and I would love to have you there. My wife and I, we roll out the red carpet. It's a great event, awesome experience, new content, new strategies. And then, of course, the brilliant minds in the room is just an extra added bonus. So you can check out socialmediarevenuesummit.com. And anytime you have questions, just shoot me a direct message, tweet me, or, you know where to find me.
Yeah. And that was another huge benefit of the summit last year is I got to meet Dr. Matthew's wife, Tazir, and then she actually spoke for us at the Women's Chiropractic Leadership Summit and has become a great friend. So there are lots of great bonuses in coming to the Social Media Revenue Summit. So please click on over, apply, and thank you, Matthew. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for answering questions that the expert. It sure is nice to have friends that are super successful like Dr. Matthew, because then when I have a question, instead of like trying to figure it out or, I don't know, search a bunch of different places, I just go straight to the source. And I will say, I love that aspect of the 56-day chiropractic boot camp is that I've asked, like when I was definitely kind of one of those, oh my gosh, can I ask Matthew Loop if he'll, if he'll contribute? And like, as soon as I said, will you contribute? He's like, yeah, absolutely. And then I asked him to do my first, like a Facebook Live interview. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. So you definitely get what you ask for in your life. And so I thank you very much for being a huge part of our 56-day chiropractic boot camp and allowing doctors to not learn everything, but the most important things, the working smarter, not harder. So God bless you all. Have a wonderful day. If there's a way in which we can serve you and make your life better and expand it, please get in touch with us. Don't sit on the sideline and be like, oh, you know what? I'm not sure. I wonder if, successful people are decisive, and you can start stepping into greater success today by being decisive. Nathan said, I want to coach with you guys, with you, dude. Like, Nathan, don't wait. Message him today. I don't know if he has any spots available, but if he doesn't, get on the roster to snag the next spot, and definitely come to the Social Media Revenue Summit. So all of you, thank you so much, Matthew. Thank you. I really appreciate your time.
Always a pleasure, Barbara. Thank you.
See ya.
Ciao, guys.
Bye.